You should go to the Anaconda distribution webpage and then download the corresponding version according to your operating system. So because I'm doing this for Windows first, we'll download the Windows version, save it, and then wait until it finishes downloading. Once it's downloaded, you open the window, the executable file, and follow the instructions to create the installation. Once it completes, you click Next and Finish. Now you can open the Anaconda command prompt. You might have to open it using the administration rights, so let's do it again. Anaconda Prompt, and then run as administrator. Alright, now what we want to do is we want to create a new environment, and for that, an environment where we're gonna install actually the Tensorflow and Keras and Python. So because we already downloaded the Anaconda version of Python 3.7, we don't need to install Python again. We'll just create a new Conda environment using the following command. And we're going to call that environment TensorFlow CPU. We're also going to install pip, and then we're going to use Python 3.6. So when you run this code, it's going to start downloading the it's going to start creating the new environment, the new Conda environment where everything is going to be installed. We click Y so that it continues to install everything that it's needed, and this might take a while. Alright, so now our environment is created and it already includes pip, and we only need to activate it. What an environment in Conda is that it creates a small environment where we install every requirement that we need, and it doesn't conflict with everything else that is installed in the computer. So it's very important that you create this new environment and then you make sure to activate it. To do that, we write the command according to the name of our environment. It's going to be Conda activate and then the name of the environment. And so after I run this command, it means that I'm going to be activated in this environment called TensorFlow CPU, and now everything that I run and I installed will be installed in that environment. And this is very important because you don't want it to conflict with anything that is already installed on your computer. So now that our environment is installed and created, we wanna install TensorFlow, and the way to do that is we write pip install upgrade, then TensorFlow equals 1.13.1. This is the version that we will use for this class. Now it's installed in TensorFlow, and it will also take a little while installing on your computer. Now that it's finished and TensorFlow is installed, we want to install Keras as well. So Keras is the actual framework we will use for training any neural network or machine learning or deep learning approach, but it uses a TensorFlow backend. So TensorFlow is a little bit more complicated, but we'll use Keras to access a little bit more easily all of the capabilities of TensorFlow. So also inside our environment, always check that you're doing everything inside the environment, the Conda environment that we created, and we write pip install Keras. It should install everything that is required to run Keras on your computer. Yeah, it's gonna be nasty as fuck. And now we test our installation by writing Python. Then it opens a Python shell, and we can write import TensorFlow as TF and see whether it imports it. Yes, it did. And now import Keras. And it did import Keras using Tensorflow backend. So now you know that your installation is correct. And if you want to close the Python shell, you just write exit and then a double parenthesis, and you're out of Python. And that is it. Now you have installed Anaconda in your computer. You have created a new Conda environment called Tensorflow CPU, and you have installed a CPU version of Tensorflow and Keras. Now, if you want to run any Python script, a way to do that is with your Anaconda installation, there's going to be a Spider installation, which is an IDE that will allow you to open Python scripts, change them, and run them. So after your Anaconda installation, you will have this Spider software on your computer, and you can open it, and you can also write your code here. And I will just write anything that we want to test in our script. So import TensorFlow, STF, and import Keras. Right now we're not doing anything except importing these files, and we'll save them. And so we save it in this folder, and we call it test.py or test and Python file. And we save it in this address. So when we save it, we can actually copy that address and go to the Anaconda prompt, write cd, and then that address, and it will take us to that folder. So now you see we're located here at C, users, visitors, desktop, test. That's where we are right now. So because we're inside that folder called test, we can run Python and then test.py. And this is running the Python script that we just wrote. So we see that it actually imports TensorFlow and then it imports Keras. We see that it's successful. Another way to run this file, this Python file, is from the Spider interface. And you can just click on this green arrow, just executing current console, and the working directory will be the directory of the file being executed. And as you see right now, it says that it has not found the module TensorFlow, and that is because we are not inside the environment. We're not inside the Conda Keras environment. So to run it, we can run it directly from the shell prompt. Because this environment is activated, then it will not be an issue. Now you have in the Windows installation guide all of the instructions that we showed before about how to install Anaconda, how to download it from the web page, and the code necessary to create your environment. And so to create the environment, as you saw previously, you should use this command. On this Windows install guide, you can actually copy the commands and just paste them in your Anaconda prompt. And so remember that after installing Conda, create the environment and activating it, then you need to install the requirements. So we already installed TensorFlow and Keras. Now let's install the other packages that will help us solve this lab. And so you need to open the Anaconda prompt again and make sure to activate the environment. Please remember to do this all the time and make sure that every time you're trying to run your code that you're running it inside the TensorFlow CPU environment. Because if you don't, it will say that there are not installed packages, like the TensorFlow is not installed, or Keras, or any of the packages that we're going to install now. So you need to make sure that you install all of this. And now if you just copy from the guide, pip install, pillow, and matplotlib, the computer will install all of these packages. And at last, we just do conda install pandas. Write Y and then enter. So it asks for permissions. You answer yes, and it will continue to install the package. So after this finishes, you have all the packages you need to solve this lab. Now we need to install the Python API. In order to do that, first we go to the installation path of vrep, which is in Windows. It's going to be in C, Program Files, vrep, then vrep Pro edu, then Programming, Remote API Bindings, Python, and then Python again. And the folders that we need to copy are, so we copy the files vrep.py and vrepconst.py into our main lab file folder where all of our Python scripts are located, and our vrep scene is located as well. Now we also need to find the file Python remote API, and so for Windows that is going to be located now again in the main installation folder, vrep3, then vrep Pro edu, then Programming, Remote API Bindings, but now we're going to go to the folder lib, again in the folder lib, and then we select which one of the operating systems we have to use. Because it's for Windows, we'll go to the folder Windows 64-bit, and here is the file, remoteapi.dll. And we copy that file as well, and we paste it in our main folder. So because I already had it, I'm gonna choose to replace the file in the destination. And now we have to make sure that we have those three files, vrep.py, vrepconst, and remote API DLL. So after we have these three files in our main folder, any Python script that we run inside this folder will be able to connect to vrep in real time. So let's test that. Here I have a vrep scene, and I'm going to try to connect to it through my Python script. So let's open the Python script to see what it has inside using Spider. And let's open as well an Anaconda Prompt. First, let's make sure that we activate the environment. So Conda activate Tensorflow underscore CPU. And we are inside the environment. Let's navigate to the location of our laboratory folder, writing cd space and then the location, the path of your folder. Now we're inside the folder. I'm going to show you first what this script will have. So let's first try the test Python API. We'll just have a main function that connects to vrep and shows us if the connection and the installation of the Python API was correct or not. This is what the main file has, and you can change and modify this file here, but you should run the file through the Anaconda prompt because you have to make sure you do it through TensorFlow CPU environment. And so let's run the file now. You have to make sure that the scene that you want to connect to is open in vrep. Now we write Python, and then the name of our file is test Python API. Because this file is importing all of the Keras and TensorFlow files, you will get this warning message, but that has nothing to do with the vrep connection. So now you see that the simulation ran, and so that means that our connection was successful. As you can see, it says connected to remote API server. So all you need to do is to copy these three files, and then you can, from any script in Python, you can connect to vrep using this simple communication, these simple lines of code to start a communication with vrep. And so what this does is that first it closes all of the current connections, then it creates a client. So it creates a connection to the vrep environment through the port 19999, And if that connection is successful, it would say connected to remote API server, and if it's not, it would say not connected to remote API server. In this case, all you need to worry about is that those 3 files that you got from the vrep installation folder are located now in the lab 5 folder. And all of those files should come in the vrep installation that you have. So if you are in Windows, you should find all of these files in the initial folder, installation folder of vrep, but it will be the same if you are in Linux or if you're using Mac.